I never imagined my dream house would turn into a battleground, but that's exactly what happened. Picture this early morning in the Rockies. Breath fogging in the cold air, my pickup loaded with insulation rolls and ironwork I'd been saving for the terrace. I was so close to the finish line I could taste it, stone shell done, solar panels humming. Septic approved, just a few finishing touches left. I was standing there unstrapping panels when I saw her marching up the gravel road like she owned the mountain. She had that HOA president look, perfect bob haircut, clipboard clutched like a weapon, tight little smile that said, I was about to have a bad morning. "Excuse me," she called out, like I was trespassing on my own planet. "Do you have a permit to be here?" I just blinked at her, not sure if I heard right. "This is my land," I said slowly, pointing to my fence line. "I didn't drive through your neighborhood." She tapped her clipboard. "Our HOA perimeter includes all roads within visual boundary. Your project is visible from Lot 17. You're using our roads, and that's a violation." I couldn't help but laugh. "Lady, this parcel's been here since before your HOA even existed. I don't owe you a dime, and I sure as hell don't need your permission to stand on my own property." Her face hardened like wet concrete in the cold. She warned me I'd be hearing from the board, and stormed off like she just handed me divine punishment. That night, I came down the hill to find a shiny new chain across my gate padlock I didn't buy, and a laminated notice that screamed, "Access suspended. Property under review." I didn't yell, I didn't cuss. I just walked back to my truck, grabbed my angle grinder, and had that lock off in 20 seconds. Took photos of everything, the chain, the sign, the tire tracks, and drove back onto my land like nothing happened. Next morning, I was halfway through a cold breakfast sandwich when I heard a knock, not on the cabin door, but on my truck window. Two sheriff's deputies stood outside, and behind them, the HOA queen herself, in her spotless navy Lexus arms crossed like she just won the lottery. "Are you Evan Price?" the older deputy asked. I nodded, offered them eggs. They didn't laugh. They were there because someone reported an unlawful occupation. I let out a slow breath, grabbed the red folder I kept for exactly this reason, and handed over my deed permits and a GPS map that showed the HOA ended a good 7 feet short of my fence. They took their time, walked the perimeter, and eventually nodded. "Everything checks out," the deputy said, handing back my folder. "Do you have a photo of the lock I showed him?" Karen, yes, she'd introduced herself by then, tried to argue, said I was disrupting the community. The deputy cut her off. "Ma'am, this is not your property." That should have been the end of it. But when he turned his back, she stepped forward and jabbed her finger right past him at me, barely brushing his arm. And that was it. He spun her like he'd done this 1,000 times, slapped cuffs on her, and said flatly, "You are under arrest for assaulting a peace officer." She screamed about suing the department as they walked her to the cruiser. I just stood there in stunned silence, then looked down at my sandwich and muttered, "Well, that escalated. You'd think that would buy me some peace, right? Not even close." Within a week, there was a brand new steel gate blocking the road I'd been using for months. Keypad access only, signs screaming, "Trespassers will be prosecuted." They even duct-taped a note about misuse of infrastructure. My deliveries were dead in the water. But I don't break easy. I called a buddy who runs helicopter logistics, flies timber into mountain cabins. 2 days later, a twin-engine chopper dropped pallets of lumber and insulation right into my back meadow. Rotor wash flattened half my wildflowers, but damn if it wasn't the most satisfying sound I'd ever heard. I filmed it, posted it to my build blog with the caption, "When they block the road, take the high ground." Contractors and off-grid folks shared it everywhere. Instead of isolating me, Karen made me go viral. But she wasn't done. I started finding more than just gates. My mailbox got dented like someone took a bat to it. A drone started hovering outside my second-story windows. I traced the registration belonged to Karen's nephew. My lawyer Dana filed for an injunction harassment claims the works. And while we were at it, I hiked up to the ridge, took drone shots of a little farmer's market. The HOA was running on federal forest land. No permits, no permission, just cash changing hands. Sent the report to the state and waited. Then came the lawsuit, 78 grand they claimed I owed them for road damage, noise, emotional distress. I almost choked on my coffee reading that one. Dana didn't just respond, she filed a counterclaim with every bit of harassment and interference they'd pulled so far. First, illegal lock, fake notice, drone gate, mailbox, all of it. She even asked the court for a financial audit of the HOA's voting records. By the time we got to court, the story had already spread. Donna laid it all out, satellite images, grant records, proving the road was public. Even trail cam footage of an HOA security guy trying to yank out my survey marker with a crowbar. The judge wasn't amused. He ordered the gate removed immediately, road declared public pending DOT review, and warned the HOA any more interference would mean contempt charges. That same afternoon, I caught Karen at the gate with an angle grinder trying to saw through my custom sign that said, "Private property, not subject to HOA authority." Sparks, flying hair frizzed, yelling about restoring order. I called the sheriff, filmed the whole thing. 15 minutes later, the same deputies showed up and cuffed her again, second arrest in under a month. You'd think that would stop her, but nope. She filed another lawsuit claiming my trucks lowered property values and my helicopter deliveries were hazardous airspace activity. Dana countered again, this time with something lethal, a FOIA request that turned up proof the HOA had accepted state and federal funds to expand that road on the condition it remained public, which meant their entire case wasn't just weak, it was fraudulent. Then came the whistleblower. Keith, a former board member, slid me a thumb drive full of meeting recordings and emails showing Karen had been faking votes, rerouting funds, even using HOA money for her own landscaping projects. Donna called it a legal buffet. When we got back to court, Karen looked like she hadn't slept in a week. The judge reviewed everything, took off his glasses, and said, if these claims hold, we're not just talking civil overreach anymore. We're talking criminal conduct. That's when the county prosecutor, who had been sitting in the back, stood up and requested a preliminary criminal investigation for fraud, document falsification, and obstruction. Karen's face finally cracked, not anger this time, fear. The court ruled in my favor, ordered the HOA to cover my helicopter costs and legal fees just over 90 grand, and dismissed her suit with prejudice. Within weeks, the HOA board started resigning one by one. State auditors came in, homeowners petitioned to dissolve the association entirely. Karen was arrested again, this time by a state investigator. No bail, facing real charges, embezzlement, falsification, obstruction. Her lawyer quit, citing ethical conflict, which I guess is legal. Speak for, I'm done with this circus. I finally finished the house. Laid the last stone, sealed the cedar deck, filled the pool with cold mountain water so clear you could see the bottom. I carved 2 stone markers, one by the driveway that reads private property access protected by law, and another where the gate used to stand. Here they tried to take my freedom. Here it was buried instead. When it was all over, I threw a small barbecue. Dana came, Keith came, even Doris, one of the few HOA neighbors who had the guts to apologize. We ate, we laughed, kids ran across the lawn barefoot, and for the first time in months, the ridge was quiet. No engines, no yelling, just wind through the pines and the faint sound of a coyote somewhere far off. Now when I sit on that terrace with my morning coffee, I don't watch the road. I don't wait for the next gate or the next notice, because I've already made my move and it's stuck. So what do you think? Was I right to push back this hard? Or did I go too far, turning my fight into a public spectacle? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you'd handle an HOA war like this in your neighborhood.